am I not?
Budget discussions can do that to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Commissioner Baker, Madam President, Commissioners, with that, it is now 2 o'clock.
All right, very good. Do we have, did we lose a few on the way? I hope not. I hope all the commissioners are back in attendance. And we will go ahead and move into our post-commission agenda of the FY 21-22 budget review, the capital. And Christine, back with us?
Yes, Madam President.
There she is. Just can't get away.
I know. Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, Christine Chandler. So I'm going to share my screen on the packets that you had received last week or 2 weeks ago. We're going to go to page 92, which is the first page after tab 8. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm going to have to go to a couple different screens just to make it easy to view on the Zoom call. So this is just a, pardon me, this is just a summary sheet of the both we call these the phases of projects, whether it's in design, right-of-way, or construction, and then these are the types of projects below. As you can see that we do have some variances between FY 20 and 21. Again, this is just the first adjusted budget. The second adjustments that you approved earlier today will be updated in this sheet as soon as I can get them completed and to accounting. So a couple things that I'll just point out here. So in the right-of-way, we had some budget adjustments that decreased and then moved the funding into FY 21. So that is not showing the decrease yet here, as well as we do have funding for the corridor preservation for Cloverdale Road, Overland to Columbia, in advance of the Idaho Power moving all of their power poles. The decrease in traffic materials is due to, significantly due to the amount of traffic materials we purchased for the Costco STARS agreement in the Chinden corridor. So they're still working through picking all of those up, and we are receiving revenue for that. You will notice that we have an increase in professional services. I'll go through that a little more detail when I can show you those projects, but with the continuing growth in the valley, this is we need to design projects so that we can then buy the right-of-way, so then we can build them to fully expend those impact fees that we are collecting. In the categorical analysis, you'll see a change in roadways. We had significant number of roadways this year. We had 2 miles of 10-mile, Meridian, Cherry to Ustick, the Coal Victory, Coal Road, McLaughlin to Victory, Linder, Franklin to Pine. So we had a lot of really big roadways. Also had the 2 miles of Cloverdale that we're completing in FY 20. So that's kind of where that quote-unquote decrease is shown. The increase for bridges is due to the rebuilding of Gowan Road Bridge 2110, and that's the one that's west of I-84. That's been it's the first of our large bridges, as mentioned before, and it is one that has been restricted, so it's long. It's due for replacement. So if we go to page 23. I'm sorry, 93. So you'll just see this pie chart depicting which categories and how the pie chart for capital projects is broken up. I will notate that in the intersections, we do have, of the 15.6 million, 4.6 million is related to roundabouts. I know that's a question that Commissioner Hanson asks often, and so I wanted to make sure you did have that information. So again, roadways and intersections being our largest pieces of the pie, followed by community programs, maintenance, and then bridges. Bridges, again, is related to that large Gowan Road Bridge. Any questions on that before we go to the detailed sheet?
I just have a quick question. The use of federal money, we use it for capital maintenance. Is that where this is? Most of the 11.5 federal money for federal maintenance is what it's referred to, or we don't use it for the other, I know not community programs, but we might use it for bridges. I don't know. What portion of this is federal money?
So, Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, so any of the dollars that I'm showing here is dollars that fund through ACHD. So the 11.5 million does include a portion of federal aid type projects. Typically with federal aid projects on the design and construction engineering side, we pay all of that and then get reimbursed from the feds. And then when it goes to construction, we pay only our 7.34% at the time that it's bid. So this does include, it does not include the federal aid that does not ever come through our budget. So there's $6 to $7 million, I believe, in funding related to maintenance through the federal program that does not come through our budget. And so I don't show it here.
Oh, okay. So, but if because the feds have a massive budget issue, which you may have noticed. If they start pulling back on that, that obviously will have an impact on what we can put into it because we'd have to have that match. And so I just wanted to know how that, I guess that's for a different discussion, but know how that plays out, particularly in fiscal year 2022.
Right, yeah, that's something that in the future that I can have Ryan or Christy address because they're the ones that work through that and the TIP funding. Yeah.
And I think we're going to have to do some planning, some scenario planning on that, just in anticipation of transportation funding is going to get hit with this massive deficit and how.
Madam President? Madam President, am I not in this?
Go ahead. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
didn't know if mine was
No, I had muted.
Okay, sorry. Hey, I just wanted to point out that yesterday in the Compass Executive Committee meeting, we had Ken come, he's our lobbyist, and he was talking about, the FAST Act that's going to be reauthorized, and he was fairly confident that something was going to happen there because, pork is what Congress people live on, and they don't seem to care about deficits. So it's possible we'll get less, but I think it's more likely that it'll get reauthorized and that money will still be there for the federal funds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me open up. So, is what I did here is I just highlighted some of the higher, both in construction and in design projects for FY21 and 22. So this is starting with FY21, which starts on page 94. And again, I highlighted some of them. I wasn't sure the best and easiest way to show this, but I know that when you look at those spreadsheets, it can be very overwhelming at how much information is on there. So I just kind of wanted to go through some of these projects with you. And then if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer those. But if I highlighted everything that was of significance, we'd just be looking at a rainbow. So with that, again, Gowan Road Bridge, the largest of our bridges, and then the Maple Grove Victory to Overland Roadway project does have 3 bridges in it. And then you'll see that project once again, not only in the roadway, but also in the community program section, because I believe there are 2 PHVs that are going to be installed there. In Garden City, we have several of the small bridges that are being continually checked off and replaced. These do have some metal pipe that's not in great condition, so we're working through to get those completed.
Madam President?
Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, just speak for people who are looking at this. I think we're supposed to have somewhere a designation of what city these are in.
Okay.
So I don't know if
That
you
would
want
be
to
helpful, yeah.
attach it. I don't even know if you could make another column, but maybe just like right up against the GIS number on the right-facing sign, just stick, Boise, Ada County, Garden City, just so people can look at this and know where these are.
Absolutely.
The public can do that.
Yep. Madam President, Commissioner Baker, I'll get that done for the next iteration of the budget packet.
Thank you, Christine. That would be helpful.
Well, also because we're putting this online, right?
Yeah.
So people should be able to, if you could get that put online, that would be great.
The next thing is the state loop payments that I mentioned last week. That is budgeted. It's under construction. We're reimbursing related to that 3-party agreement. Eagle Amity to Victory, the road, the roadway, the Eagle Amity roundabout intersection, and then we're doing a roundabout at Zaldia, is all set for construction next year in FY21. We've got several projects along Lake Hazel, Cloverdale, Maple Grove, and 10 Mile. Those intersections are all working to be designed for construction in various years, upcoming years, as well as the Linder and Floating Feather Roundabout is attached also to a roadway portion. And that's starting design this year, but we are continuing that in FY 2021. Like I said, I have several of these highlighted. I can go through several more of these unless there are commissioners that want to talk about more specific type projects.
I think you can keep going, and if somebody has a question, they can stop you. But go ahead and highlight what you've already indicated for us.
So
I just want to point out that I raised my concerns about some specific projects in the CIP, so I won't repeat them here. So just, you might go back and take note of the
okay,
concerns.
I'll go back and get that, yep.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Jim.
So we do have a project at the corner of Tyndon and Curtis to add the right-hand turn lane going south. It's starting north of the intersection and then going to continue all the way up to that where the right-hand turn lane turns onto U-Stick to alleviate some of that congestion. Again, some more Lake Hazel projects, Eagle Lake Hazel to Amity. These tie in with those intersection projects as shown below. And here is the road segment of Maple Grove Victory to Overland. This one highlighted right here, 10 Mile McMillan to Chinden. This is the one that I had mentioned in the second budget adjustment presentation earlier today as a rescheduled project. This is one that it's construction dollars, but the construction's nearly complete. It'll just be a reconciliation item with Costco through the STARS agreement. That's completed. We do also have the Cassius Street Bikeway project, and again, this is shown in a couple different categories. There is some roadway work being done. There's the bikeway, a ped bridge, 3 RRSBs and 2 PHBs. So that's a pretty big undertaking that's going on that'll be constructed in 21. the downtown implementation project for maintenance. This is a project, we do have it split over 21 and 22. 1 year they're going to do the State Street portion, and then the next year they're going to do the, hang on, let me find it. Dale, do you know which portion they're doing first?
Commissioners, Dale Caparis, I believe State Street is going in 22, and they're doing a couple sections of 9th and 10th in 21.
Thank you, Dale. So again, and as I scroll through here, we do, let's see if I can, on the next, under community programs, which begins on page 97, at the top, you'll see all of the, both the core community programs, as well as, starts with bikeways. Christy had mentioned some of the bikeway projects that are in the integrated 5-year work plan, not yet in the budget, but we will be seeing more and more of those. The Safe Sidewalk program is one, again, that we have one section.
Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted there. Could you go back, Maple Grove and Edna Street pedestrian crossing? It's just right up there. It's under community programs, no, core community projects. Okay, so that has nothing in it.
Oh, so that is probably, there's funding for that in FY22.
Okay. You think? Possible.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if there's no project, though, that if the project doesn't carry over, like if it doesn't start in 21, why would we have it on there? It just gets so messy.
Madam President, Commissioner Baker, I will work to clean that up. It's, I parsed this spreadsheet out, because usually 21 and 22 are right next to each other. So in order to make it more readable, I just cut 22 and put it on a whole new set of sheets. But I will work to remove any of the zeros.
Yeah, I think that might make it a little easier to read. And then the next one down is called McMillan Westview Drive to Maple Grove, and there's $77,000 in there for construction. But shouldn't that be done this year? I mean, or is that just cleanup? I mean,
That's just cleanup. So in construction and capital projects, they've got, we've kind of honed in on a formula, I guess, if you will, depending on when the project's substantial completion is. Depends on how much we then budget in the subsequent year, because we do have to wait for all the punch list items as well as the contract with the state to get the final documentation to release retainage.
okay. And then I guess if we don't spend it, we sweep it.
There you go.
Right. So the Safe Sidewalk program, again, is those filling in those gaps, fixing those damaged panels, the ADA type programs. 13th Street, we do have the traffic calming project, as well as an RFP at Rescue. Again, the Kaja Street bikeway is shown here. It's for the sidewalk. Bulk of the sidewalk, I know, is on the north side of Kaja between Curtis and Franklin Park Drive, just across from Bora High School. One of the projects that you were briefed on, we did a plan on, it was adopted a couple years ago, is the Kootenay traffic calming. So they have broken it out into 3 segments. Like we're starting or 3 phases, excuse me. It looks like we are planning to start all of them in FY21. CUNA project is Linder Main Street to Deer Flat, do some roadway improvements there, and some sidewalk for the safe route to school. those are all the ones that I wanted to highlight. If there's anything else you'd like to talk about specifically, Christy has gone over the details and how to look at more specific details on the overall project. But I'm also happy to see if I can pull up any of that information if needed.
Thank you, Christine. Commissioners, any other questions or comments for Christine or Dale? Okay, thank you, Christine.
So we'll go to FY22, which starts on page 100. And again, as discussed before, I'll work to remove the zeros and kind of shrink this up a little bit to not make it so busy with all of those amounts in there. Pierce Parkway and Bridge at Hill Road. This is a decent-sized bridge that we're going to work on designing in FY22 for construction in 23 or 24, I believe. The second payment to St. Luke's for the improvements related to the three-party agreement is there. Lake Hazel and Eagle Road intersection that's currently being designed in-house, I believe right now, is to be built in FY22. For anyone that's been out there, it's quite an intersection right now that the improvements will be very helpful. Continuing out, and 10 Mile is one of the Commission's priority corridors, so we are working through that on the south. So here's 10 Mile and Deer Flat in design. At the same time, we're working on the 10 Mile and Victory intersection. We have Locust Grove Victory to Overland, as well as the Victory and Locust Grove roundabout that is currently in in-house design. With right-of-way planned in 21 and then the construction planned in FY22. And then along with that 10 Mile and Victory intersection, we'll be building the 10 Mile Victory to Overland segment of the roadway. Some more segments of Lake Hazel, again, a priority corridor for the Commission, trying to work through that area. The U-stick 10 Mile to Linder, I know that out west, we're working to get the remainder of those segments of U-stick as needed to be completed in advance or anticipation, I think, of the new school. I believe that's going out there somewhere. We do have construction of the 11th Street maintenance and bikeway. This does include some traffic signals or pedestrian crossings at both 11th and Hayes and 12th and Hayes, I believe. It's a very busy area there for students, as well as getting from Camels back down to State Street. The downtown Boise implementation plan, again, I believe Dale said that this would be the State Street segment. We have several segments of residential capital maintenance going in FY22. One of the things with residential capital maintenance is depending on which area we're in, can require additional work due to soft spot repair. We ran into that, I know, on the west bench. We ran into a lot of the soft spot repairs, so some of those in those older neighborhoods are becoming more expensive. And we do not have any residential capital maintenance construction planned in FY21. So that's nearly a 2 years worth of residential capital maintenance as well. Even though verifying what I was saying. Then core community projects, we do have some project in Garden City, working through adding sidewalks, as well as on East 3rd, Franklin to Carlton, downtown. These are design projects to be built. Roosevelt, Rose Hill to Emerald, this is a sidewalk project. There will be some funding likely shown in roadway for that, but this area is a great place to add those sidewalks. Safe Sidewalk Program, again, those repairs that are done throughout the valley by our Safe Sidewalk Coordinator and Inspector also. 5 Mile LaGrange pedestrian crossing is going to be built, as well as the Garden Street Franklin to Bethel. These are Safe Routes to School projects. This is the PED crossing. And then the Garden Franklin to Bethel will be sidewalk type for Safe Routes to School. Stoddard Victory to Overland. I gotta think about where this is in Meridian. Is one where we are working again with Safe Routes to School to add some sidewalk and pedestrian improvements in that area. And with that is I guess the highlights that I had kind of made. I'm more than happy to try and answer any questions, anything specific with projects. If I don't know the answer, I can look up the summary sheets, or perhaps someone else on the call can help me with those specific details.
Any questions for Christine? Comments? No? You're just doing too good a job, Christine.
I mean, are you just worn out from today? So, Madam President, with that, I'll kind of talk about from my perspective, and my plan for the next steps is I've got notes from both this week and then from last week that I'll go through for some additional information, as well as some corrections within the budget document itself. My plan will be to have you to have an updated packet the last week in July, and we tentatively have a revised packet work session August 5th, with taking the first day of publication on August 10th. So on August 5th, that'll be the quote-unquote final document prior to the public hearing. That'll be the information used in the public notice. Again, what's published in the paper will be specifically for the property tax certification. Whatever we publish, that's the maximum amount we can take. We can take less at the public hearing, but we cannot take more. Right. So that's just a reminder on that. But I will get that out to the paper. Probably have to send it on Thursday or Friday. I'll have to check with the Idaho Press to see what their schedule is. But that will get us the public hearing requirements met prior to the hearing on August 26th.
Very good.
So are we publishing in the Statesman and the Idaho Press, or just the Idaho Press?
To the best of my knowledge, we're just doing the Idaho Press.
Ooh, okay.
That is correct, Commissioner. This is Paul Dale, Chief of Staff. We're publishing in the Idaho Press.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And that's been for a while now, hasn't it, Mr. Daigle, I think?
That is correct.
All right, Madam President, if there are no other questions, I will work to prepare the next draft of the packet.
All right, thank you very much. That was quick.
Yeah.
No other questions? We appreciate your hard work, Christine and Dale. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, Director Wong?
No, Madam President, Commissioners,
Looks like
we are complete.
We are complete.
Yes, ma'am.
It's been a long day. Thanks to everyone. So have a nice evening, and we will reconvene next week. Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
Have a great afternoon.